James was a new engine who lived at a station at the other end of the line. He had 2 small wheels in front and 6 driving wheels behind. They weren't as big as Gordon's, and they weren't as small as Thomas's. "You're a special mixed traffic engine," a fat controller told him. "You'll be able to pull coaches or trucks quite easily." But trucks are not easy things to manage, and on his first day they had pushed him down a hill into a field. He had been ill after the accident, but now he had new brakes and a shining coat of red paint. "The red paint will cheer you up after your accident," said the fat controller kindly. "You are to pull coaches today, and Edward shall help you." They went together to find the coaches. "Be careful with the coaches, James," said Edward. "They don't like being bumped. Trucks are silly and noisy. They need to be bumped and taught to behave. But coaches get cross and will pay you out." They took the coaches to the platform and were both coupled on in front. The fat controller, the station master, and some little boys all came to admire James's shining rods and red paint. James was pleased. "I am a really splendid engine," he thought, and suddenly let off steam. Whoosh! The fat controller, the station master, and the guard all jumped, and a shower of water fell on the fat controller's nice new top hat. Just then the whistle blew, and James thought they had better go. So they went. Go on, he puffed to Edward. Don't push, puffed Edward, for he did not like starting quickly. Don't go so fast, grumbled the coaches. But James did not listen. He wanted to run away before the fat controller could call him back. He didn't even want to stop at the first station. Edward tried hard to stop, but the 2 coaches in front were beyond the platform before they stopped, and they had to go back to let the passengers get out. Lots of people came to look at James, and as no one seemed to know about the fat controller's top hat, James felt happier. Presently they came to the junction where Thomas was waiting with his 2 coaches. "Hello, James," said Thomas kindly. "Feeling better? That's right." "Ah, that's my guard's whistle. I must go. Sorry I can't stop. I don't know what the fat controller would do without me to run this branch line." And he puffed off importantly with his 2 coaches into a tunnel. Leaving the junction, they passed the field where James had had his accident. The fence was mended, and the cows were back again. James whistled, but they paid no attention. They clattered through Edward's station yard and started to climb the hill beyond. "It's ever so steep, puffed James. I've done it before, puffed Edward. "It's steep, but we'll do it. It's steep, but we'll do it." The 2 engines puffed together as they pulled the train up the long hill. They both rested at the next station. Edward told James how Gordon had stuck on the hill, and he had had to push him up. James laughed so much that he got hiccoughs and surprised an old lady in a black bonnet. She dropped all her parcels, and 3 porters, the station master, and the guard had to run after her, picking them up. James was quiet in the shed that night. He had enjoyed his day, but he was a little afraid of what the fat controller would say about the top. Next morning, the fat controller spoke severely to James. "If you can't behave, I shall take away your red coat and have you painted blue." James did not like that at all, and he was very rough with the coaches as he brought them to the platform. Come along, he called rudely. "All in good time, the coaches grumbled. "Don't talk, come on," answered James, and with the coaches squealing and grumbling after him, he snorted into the station. James was cross that morning. The Fat Controller had spoken to him, the coaches had dawdled, and worst of all, he had had to fetch his own coaches. "Gordon never does," thought James, "and he is only painted blue. A splendid red engine like me should never have to fetch his own coaches." And he puffed and snorted round to the front of the train and backed onto it with a rude bump. "Oh," groaned the coaches, "that was too bad." To make James even more cross, he then had to take the coaches to a different platform, where no one came near him as he stood there. The Fat Controller was in his office. The station master was at the other end of the train with a guard, and even the little boys stood a long way off. James felt lonely. "I'll show them," he said to himself. "They think Gordon is the only engine who can pull coaches." And as soon as the guard's whistle blew, he started off with a tremendous jerk. "Come on, come on, come on," he puffed, and the coaches, squeaking and groaning in protest, clattered over the points onto the open line. "Hurry, hurry, hurry," puffed James. "You're going too fast, you're going too fast," said the coaches, and indeed they were going so fast that they swayed from side to side. James laughed and tried to go faster, but the coaches wouldn't let him. "We're going to stop, we're going to stop, we're going to stop," they said, and James found himself going slower and slower. "What's the matter?" James asked his driver. "The brakes are hard on. Leak in the pipe, most likely. You've banged the coaches enough to make a leak in anything." The guard and the driver got down and looked at the brake pipes all along the train. At last they found a hole where rough treatment had made a joint work loose. "How shall we mend it?" said the guard. James's driver thought for a moment. "We'll do it with newspapers and a leather bootlace." "Well, where is the bootlace coming from?" asked the guard. "We haven't one." "Ask the passengers," said the driver. So the guard made everyone get out. "Has anybody got a leather bootlace?" he asked. They all said no, except one man in a bowler hat, whose name was Jeremiah Jobling, who tried to hide his feet. "You have a leather bootlace there, I see, sir," said the guard. "Please give it to me." "I won't," said Jeremiah Jobling. "Then," said the guard sternly, "I'm afraid this train will just stop where it is." Then the passengers all told the guard, the driver and the fireman what a bad railway it was. But the guard climbed into his van, and the driver and fireman made James let off steam. So they all told Jeremiah Jobling he was a bad man instead. At last he gave them his laces. The driver tied a pad of newspapers tightly round a hole, and James was able to pull the train. But he was a sadder and a wiser James, and took care never to bump coaches again.
James didn't see the Fat Controller for several days. They left James alone in the shed. He was very unhappy. "Oh dear, I'll never be allowed out any more. I shall have to stay in this shed for always, and no one will ever see my red coat again. Oh dear, oh dear." And James began to cry. Just then the Fat Controller came along.
"Oh, I see that you're sorry, James. Well, I hope now that you'll be a better engine. You've given me a lot of trouble. People are laughing at my railway, and I don't like that at all. At all."
"I'm very sorry, sir."
"Well, that's a good engine. Well done. Now, I want you to pull some trucks for me, so run along and find them."
"Oh, very good, sir." And James puffed happily away. Very soon he met a little tank engine. "Hello, James. Here are your trucks. Have you got some bootlaces ready, eh?" James took no notice, but backed down onto the trucks.
"Oh, no, no, oh, 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 oh! We want a proper engine, not a red monster. No, 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 oh."
But James backed onto them and started as soon as the guard was ready. At last they saw Gordon's Hill ahead. James's driver said, "Now look out for trouble, James. We'll go fast and get them up before they know it. Now don't let them stop you." So James went faster, and they were soon halfway up the hill. "I'm doing it! Shh, shh, I'm doing it! Shh, shh, I'm doing it! Shh, shh, I'm doing it! Shh, 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 shh." Oh, but it was hard work. Then suddenly there was a jerk, and James got to the top easily. "Oh, I've done it! Shh, I've done it! Shh, I've done it! Shh, I've done it! Shh, hurrah! It's easy now! Shh, shh, shh." But the driver had shut off steam. "Those trucks have done it again, James. We've left our tail behind. Look." Sure enough, the last 10 trucks were running backwards down the hill. The coupling had snapped. But the guard was very brave. Very carefully and cleverly he made them stop. Then he got out and walked down the line with his red flag. James backed the other trucks carefully down the hill. Well, no wonder it was easy with 10 trucks running away like that. What silly things trucks are. Now, there might have been an accident. Meanwhile, the guard had stopped Edward.
"Oh, hello, James. Shall I help you?"
"No, thank you, Edward. I'll pull them myself."
"Good. Don't let them beat you."
So James got ready. "Right." And off he went. "I can do it, I can do it, shh, 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 shh. I can do it, I can do it, shh, 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 shh. I can do it, I can do it, shh, 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 shh." And James struggled up the hill with clouds of smoke and steam pouring from his funnel. "I've done it! Shh, I've done it! Shh, I've done it! Shh, I've done it! Shh, 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 shh." And James disappeared over the top. They reached their station safely, and James was resting in the yard when Edward went by.
"Well done, James. Well done."
Then James saw, walking towards him across the rails, the Fat Controller. "Oh dear, what will he say? What will he say?" But the Fat Controller was smiling.
"I was in Edward's train and saw everything. You've made the most troublesome trucks on the line behave. After that, you deserve to keep your red coat. Well done, James."
One night, Henry and Gordon were alone with James. Although the Fat Controller was beginning to think well of him, whenever a chance came, the other engines would talk of nothing but bootlaces. "Remember the time one had to be used to get you out of trouble, James?" they would tease. James tried to get his own back, talking about engines who got shut up in tunnels and stuck on hills. But they wouldn't listen. "You talk too much, little James," said Gordon. "A fine, strong engine like me has something to talk about. I'm the only engine who can pull the express. When I'm not there, they need 2 engines. Think of that. I've pulled expresses for years and have never once lost my way. I seem to know the right line by instinct." Every wise engine knows, of course, that the signalman works the points to make engines run on the right lines, but Gordon was so proud he had forgotten. "Wake up, James," said Gordon next morning. "It's nearly time for the express." "What are you doing? Odd jobs?" "Oh, well, we all have to begin somewhere, don't we? Run along now and get my coaches. Don't be late." James went to get Gordon's coaches. They were all shining with lovely new paint. He was careful not to bump them, and they followed him smoothly into the station, singing happily, "We're going away, we're going away." "I wish I was going with you," said James. "I should love to pull the express and go flying along the line." Gordon, with much noise and blowing of steam, got ready to back onto the train. The Fat Controller was on the train with other important people, and as soon as they heard the guard's whistle, Gordon started. Look at me now," he puffed, and the coaches glided after him. "Poop, poop, 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 poop. Goodbye, little James. See you tomorrow." James watched the train disappear and then went back to work. He pushed some trucks into their proper sidings and went to fetch the coaches for another train. James had just brought the coaches to the platform when he heard a mournful noise. There was Gordon trying to sidle into the station without being noticed. "Hello, Gordon. Is it tomorrow?" asked James. Gordon didn't answer. He just let off steam feebly. "Did you lose your way, Gordon?" said James. "No, it was lost for me. I was switched off the main line onto the loop. I had to go all round and back again." "Perhaps it was instinct," said James. Meanwhile, all the passengers hurried to the booking office. "We want our money back," they shouted. But the Fat Controller climbed on a trolley and blew the guard's whistle, so loudly that they all stopped to look at him. Then he promised them a new train at once. "Gordon can't do it," he said. "Will you pull it for us, James?" "Yes, sir, I'll try." So James was coupled on and everyone got in. "Do your best, James," said the Fat Controller. Come along, puffed James. You're pulling as well, sang the coaches. Bridges and stations flashed by, the passengers cheered, and they soon reached the station. Everyone said thank you to James, and the Fat Controller was very impressed. "Well done," he said. "Would you like to pull the express sometimes?" "Yes, please," answered James. Next day, when James came by, Gordon was pushing trucks. "I like some quiet work for a change," he said. "I'm teaching these trucks manners. You did well with those coaches, I hear." "Good, we'll show them." And he gave his trucks a bump. James and Gordon are now good friends. James sometimes takes the express to give Gordon a rest. Gordon never talks about bootlaces, and they are both quite agreed on the subject of trucks.